Yes, royal family, blessed love to each and everyone. Give thanks for your presence with us. Of course, we give thanks to the life giver and the keeper of life, the power and might of the Holy Trinity. We glorify the Father and the Mother of creation. We are thankful for sun, moon, and star. We give thanks for heat, air, and water. We give thanks for the universal, the galactic love that goes throughout the universe itself, that dwells in the soul and the heart of each and every one. Selassie Jah, Rastafari. Yes, my royal family, I welcome you to another edition of The Tiger's Nest. Of course, Radio Anu, the international flavor, the universal spice. But this is a special edition, as all the editions are special editions. We have a wonderful visitor with us this evening. And of course, the visitor himself, a few programs now, we should have had a sit down with the good king, but of course nothing happens before it's time. So now the Most High had made it, possible for us to sit and sup with the royal king. We have the Right Honorable Professor Priest Anthony Merritt with us. And of course, he is a priest of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress Church of True Divine Salvation. And as I say, a professor, he himself will give you a bit more as it relates to his profession and exactly what he does on that level. And he's also an author. And we have one of his works before us, The History of the Ethiopian Flag, the history of the Ethiopian flag, of which we will be reasoning on and discussing this evening, the contents of the book and the evolution of the Ethiopian flag. So this promises to be a very wonderful sit down, promises to be a wonderful discussion. We will be sharing this with the YouTube as well. So those who will be watching this on the YouTube, make sure you share the link. Facebook, Instagram, you know what to do, and press the thumbs up button that they have there so that the video can get around the world, top speed, top moment, top time, So without any further ado, I would just like to say, blessed to the Honorable Priest Merritt, my Lord, give thanks for your presence.
Blessed love to the house and our loved ones gathered round about you.
Give thanks, my Lord, for the coming in. If possible, if you could just, well, I know you might want to send other blessings to the congregation and just give us an idea of who the guy is, as especially as Professor, Honorable Priest Anthony Merritt. My Lord, blessed Lord, and welcome again.
My Lord. Well, first and foremost, we give thanks, to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, Honorable King Selassie Jah.
Rastafari.
We give thanks to the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, like Christ in flesh. We give thanks for the most honorable prophet John Marcus, coming from the womb of a woman, and all of these inspirations that bring us here today. I give thanks for this opportunity to reason with Honorable Priest here, and Priest Isaac has been an inspiration for many listeners, including myself, for the elevated reasonings that he has had over the years. So I hope I can make a small contribution to that. So as Honorable Priest did say, I am a professor at the San Diego State University here in San Diego, California, where I've been working for a number of years. And my work is really interested in what's called Africana Studies, with a focus in African history and culture. And my work was done in the community, in the country of Ethiopia in a broad sense, with a focus in particular of Sheshamani, Ethiopia, which is about 250 miles south of the capital, Addis Ababa. There are sisterns and brethren that have been there at the behest of His Imperial Majesty since the 1950s, when the land was made available And so I was most interested to learn from the people there and to hear their story and to write a history, because one had really not been written from the perspective of a Rasta brethren. Others had written articles and newspaper things and so forth, but I wanted to hear this from the people there themselves. I also did work in study in art and architecture of Ethiopia. And so in the art itself, looking at the flag, which is an article of art and religious spiritual significance, that will be our primary focus. The impetus for writing this came from back in the early 2000s, when I was reasoning with some honorable prophets at Bobo Hill, and we were talking about, how the colors of the flag have been a point of discussion, heated discussion sometimes amongst different houses. And I was very, very interested in it, since I was very new to the art, as to why things were the way they were. So this work is really about us understanding and understanding the significance of the history of the Ethiopian flag and how it bears significantly on Rastafari as a spiritual pathway and a temporal pathway. We see these colors, red, black, and green, with African liberation through Honorable Marcus Garvey. We see these colors, red, gold, and green, with the black star in the middle, as a gateway to Ghana, through the works of Honorable Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana. So what do they mean, and how should we begin to have a better understanding about them amongst us as Rasta brethren and sisters, regardless of house, whether we EABIC Congress or 12 tribes or Nyabingi, because we are all, to say, in our Father's house there are many mansions. Okay? So we're coming at this from the perspective of primarily looking at this from the mansion of the EABIC, but with a goal for a universal understanding between the houses, so we can stop this arguing about something that really goes away once you understand how the foundation of these colors and how varied they have been over time, how they came into being. Okay, so these are just some of the things. We'll make reference to the book, both the history through various emperors through time, and from the 1600s all the way up to His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, Jah Rastafari, and have a really strong sense, hopefully, that there's much more to this than we've been led to believe. We also, if time permits, show some original flags, as well as some depictions of flags and banners based on my research. I did research at the then University of in Addis Ababa, as well as traveled around the country, looking at the representation of and the dominance of red throughout various art and artifacts. And I came to a firmer understanding of why colors are the way they are, and what they can mean to us in this day and time.
To my Lord, give thanks and praises, my Lord. Well, of course, just letting the congregation know, as you just clearly said yourself, you would have traveled throughout Ethiopia and would have done research on exactly, the importance of the banners and the history of the banners. And as you said, we'll be getting into that in a moment. I just want to remind everyone before we go into it of Thursday evening. We will be having a very special presentation right here on the YouTube specifically. We are also, we'll be touching upon a very serious subject, and it will be dealing with the spirit of Marcus Garvey and Emperor Haile Selassie I. And that will be entitled, Where Did Marcus Garvey Go? And of course, I'll be the keynote speaker. And of course, the 17th of August, Thursday, 2023, 8 p.m., right on the YouTube, where those who are visualizing this presentation will be seeing it when we premiere it. But of course, at the moment, we are definitely on Radio Anu, the international flavor, the universal spice, Priest Isaac's Institute, priestIsaacInstitute.com. That is where you definitely find Radio Anu. Beautiful. I would like to go straight into the subject for this evening. The good honorable priest basically gave us a nice foundation of where we're going. And as he rightfully said, it may not be, my Lord, today as it was, well, when myself would have come into this faith here. But there has always been a strong loggerhead energy where brethrens and sisterns too would be discussing, arguing over, and many times even you could also get physical over the banners of the flag or the position of colors. And ones being very dogmatic and religious have their reason why they stand for their position. We talk about the rainbow and the rainbow with the red up, although I always like to reflect on, you know, the double rainbow when you see one with the red down too. That's when the other one is very bright. But again, there is a history, you know, to all of this. And this is where I would like DI to go. And even before, you know, DI share your screen, I know for sure we already discussed that we would be utilizing something from the internet to kind of go through maybe or give an idea of where you're going with the history. So, my Lord, I would like to just turn it over to yourself so you could begin the conversation where you choose to. And whenever you are ready to share your screen, you could also just let me know so we could make the adjustments so you could do that as well. So I'm going to just turn the floor over to you, my Lord. I definitely know you are capable. And whenever you want me to step in or whenever I think it's necessary, I will come in. Honorable, blessed Lord.
My Lord, my Lord. Well, as I was saying, back in the early 2000s, I think the year was 2006, there was this discussion that appeared on the internet concerning the flag of Ethiopia. And the discussions, while they were very well intended, put forth some information that was really misleading and in some instances incorrect. For example, the claim that the Ethiopian flag was flown upside down, making red at the top when the country was at war, is not supported by the facts. The erroneous belief may be attributed to something called the International Charter of Flag Etiquette, which is alleged to support this rule. Now, such a charter really, my research, does not exist, and there's no international rule for this practice. So the only country that established a provision for flying its flag upside down in the United States done in times of distress was the United States. Besides, there are many countries whose flag, if you turn it upside down, would look exactly the same, like the flag of Jamaica and Botswana, and Thailand, Austria, Bangladesh, and many others, so making such a practice pointless. And finally, the very idea of turning the flag of Ethiopia upside down as a sign of war is nonsensical. This would have resulted in the emblem of the Lion of Judah standing on its head, which would have been an insult to the emperor and to the Ethiopian people. So what are we talking about here? His Majesty simply directed that the flag be shown or flown upright with the flag ordered at the top for the reasons stated previously. Now, there's another statement that was made that the flag of Ethiopia has always been flown with the green up. As Priest Isaac just showed you, there are some records easily available that show that that was not the case, and we'll show you that in some of the research that I did. So all ideas and arguments, I think, will be sufficiently refuted here, and we'll kind of do away with some of the comments about that in some of these kind of nonsensical arguments. So I am going to ask the Honorable Priest if I can share my screen.
Okay, so just give me a moment, and I will make you the host. While I'm doing that, family, just make sure that you share this. Those on Radio Anu, let the family know you're listening to Radio Anu. Those who will be listening this to the tube, just share the link and press the like button. All right, my brother, you are the host.
My love. Give me a second here.
All right. So as the good brother is making sure his, that's you doing all that yet. Once he's making sure everything is okay, again, keep in mind, this is the Tiger's Nest. If you're not a subscriber to the Tiger's Nest, it's a very simple thing to do. All you got to do is to contact us, email us, priestisaacInstitute@gmail.com, and for sure you'll be a subscriber to the Tiger's Nest. Now, keep in mind, those of you listening on Radio Anu, this is a live program coming to you. I know it is radio, but we are also recording this for the video, and this will be aired on the YouTube in the future. But you are still privileged here, you know, as you're getting the first reasoning. But anything that is seen, it's easily explained. So don't worry. This is Radio Anu, where you hear, where you see what we say. All right, I like that. We can use that one. This is Radio Anu, where you see what we say. Yeah, I gotta use that one here. Yes, my lord.
So, and I want to give a shout out and a thanks for Honorable Prophet Mwambe, who did the artwork for this. He was taking descriptions that I gave from my research, and he's a much better artist than I am, and composed the cover. Just let everyone see the cover.
Yes. You could make that screen big. That we call it that tab. You could expand that tab to take up the full screen. If not, it's okay. If not, it's okay. But it could.
Yes, I should be able to.
Yeah.
Do it.
I want you to do the full screen mode. That's it there. A few down from tools. Tools, show height, display theme. Oh, okay. All right. You do what you do.
See if actual side.
But I see one thing, Mark. On the read mode, it has full screen mode. It may be that. It just. Yeah, I think you made it larger inside of. I was thinking of that whole tab that you have open there to fill the screen that we're watching. Okay, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We can handle it. Don't worry. Don't worry. You can go through.
Okay.
It's not complicated. It's all right. I'm sure the audience can see it.
Okay.
Good. I can see it. It's all right.
So this is just a table of contents, and I want for the viewers with a table of contents. I think the first thing we want to be aware of is that these colors have a spiritual significance. In the Ethiopian oral traditions, that's preserved by the priests and the learned men called Deptara, in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. They give a first account and about the origins of the flag, where the colors of red, gold, and green begin, as the Honorable Priest said, with the biblical deluge, the great flood, and how colors come up into being. So the first flag that we're going to look at. First, I want to make it clear that there's no dependable historical record exists that clearly refers to or let alone describes what can be a national flag before the second half of the 19th century. We'll talk a little bit later about the role of Emperor Menelik in that national flag. Now, emperors and kings and military leaders have always displayed or carried their own banners, which we'll look at, and their standards, which are called alama. A standard indicates that this is who is here, whether it's a general of the army, or whether it's a ras, or whether it's the king, or whether it's the emperor, the Nagis Nagas. Okay? And they would carry these into battle. The first one that we look at, let me pull this up here a little bit for the ones to see, is the first one described. Now, this is an alama that's first described in the Royal Chronicle of Emperor Sarsa Dingal in the 16th century. So we talk about the 1500s, okay? And it was talked about in other chronicles, okay? And these are renditions, as I say, with a couple of exceptions that we'll look at later based on eyewitness accounts, okay? And these will be by European travelers that described, in this case, a banner that was fully red, surrounded by, let me just pull this up here. This was described by the English explorer, James Bruce. And he gave, of the many banners that he saw, a detailed description of one. And his is one of the first and one of the best of the earliest of the eyewitness accounts. Okay? So he described a certain kind of cavalry called the Black Horse. And then I always was curious about that, because some of the emperors and some of the kings would have what they called a horse name. And I thought that kind of seemed kind of strange.
Yes,
but this was the flag that flown behind the emperor or the king or whoever it was while he was on a horse.
It's true. It's true.
So Bruce published this about his travels in 1790. And you can see this, this is called a red flag with a yellow or golden lion who is surmounted, meaning above, with a white star on it. So, and we talk about this appearance of white in the representation of various banners as well. Okay, so you see this. This banner was brought especially for Emperor Iyasu II, okay, from Cairo, and it was later regarded as the royal standard for Emperor Tewodros II. We'll talk about the importance of Emperor Tewodros II here in a minute as well. You can see the beauty of this flag, the fully red flag with the white star above the Lion of Judah. So,
could I just add quickly that is a 6-point star for those who may not see?
Yes, my lord. It's 6-point star. Okay.
Right. Yes. Pardon.
So now, to point out in the book concerning this particular banner, the record gives you some conflicting accounts. In talking about Emperor Tewodros, one says that Tewodros did not use banners himself, nor did his armies. However, an eyewitness who was present at the inventorying of royal items when Emperor Tewodros's encampment was plundered, by the British Expeditionary Forces at Magdala in 1868. Emperor Tewodros had been approached, by the way, by various English generals and so forth, trying to force him to behave in a certain way. And they sent emissaries to him. And rather than to back down, he simply captured the emissaries. And this was the beginning of this plundering of his encampment. Okay. So again, this was in 1868. And they said that in one of the tents, we found the imperial standard of Ethiopia. Okay. The lion, move over here a little bit, the page goes down. Rampant, meaning lion was very energetic, of the tribe of Judah, worked in variegated colors. Okay? And this is important to bring here because we want to look at this flag in reference to some other things that have been said coming out of the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress that hopefully my words on this will spread some clarity on it. Okay, so I just want to read from this because I think it's pretty clear that it's well worth mentioning here that this Magdala expedition was one of the two most disruptive foreign invasions in Ethiopian history. The other one, of course, being a fascist Italian occupation under Mussolini in 1936 to 1941. Okay? Now, this invasion by this British expedition was carried out under the order of Queen Victoria of England. Okay? Queen Victoria ruled from 1837 until her death in 1901. And following this expedition, Ethiopia was divided. It was disunited. It was without a leader because Emperor Tewodros, rather than allowing himself to be captured, committed suicide. Okay? He said he didn't want to be captured, humiliated, killed, possibly tortured at the hands of Queen Victoria's forces. This expedition under the command of General Napier took hundreds of the emperor's personal treasures, okay, including his red imperial standard. These were stolen. We know that there's this movement now for many of these countries such as England and France and Italy to return stolen treasures to Ethiopia and other parts of Africa where they've carried out raids and taken original works of art. Okay? So this flag was never to be seen again. Okay? And I say that brings so much light on this because it supports King Emmanuel's assertion that, and he's quoting from the book, it was Britain's Queen Victoria and her hosts, the white world, who came to the shores of Black Ethiopia and overthrew Africa, the Black Christ kingdom, to turn down the red and bring it to green and call it federal. So this expression was always interesting to me. What did this mean?
Yes.
When we look at the dates in time and the change in colors, you have to keep in mind when Victoria was in power, and we'll see later when, in fact, the red on top flag comes into national level under Emperor Menelik. So let's keep this in mind maybe for a point of discussion for the destruction that King Emmanuel talks about. I think this is best understood symbolically rather than literally, at least at this point in time, if we look clearly at the dates. Okay. So this is from the book, Let Us Guide Our Own Destiny to Ethiopia. Okay, so we go to yes, my lord. Anytime.
No, you're good on the time. You're perfect on the time. You're perfect on the time. There's no minding I see me there. But yes, give thanks for such history. So just quickly, so we're talking about the flag that you were just speaking of, the all red flag with the white point star, 6-point star.
Yes.
But the line in the flag has a red, gold, and green. There's the line in the flag carrying a banner.
Yes.
What's the color of its banner?
Right. Well, this was one of the, I give thanks for the artists. All of the flags that I have seen, in actual since the lion was always strictly gold. And I think the artist took some artistic freedom and had the banner that way. So my goal, go through my luck.
The scholarly eye will pick up that.
See.
Sure. But okay, but that's under Emperor Dengal. Okay, and that's that's around the 16th century also there. Fair enough. And I jump in I definitely not jumping the gun for sure. But that tri-colored banner that we were showing earlier with those triangles. Just quickly before you continue, what date is given to that?
Was this for the banner?
With the red, gold, and green, the red on top. Is it prior to this then? Maybe that's what I should ask. Is there any evidence of it prior to the Emperor Dengal banner? Just ask. Maybe that should be the way I ask that question, and then we can move on. Is there any evidence of that red on top, yellow in the middle, green below, with the triangle prior to Emperor Dengal's banner? The horse banner it is, eh?
Yes. Not to my not to my research.
That's all I'm asking.
That being said, there are some what are called alamas that are single stripes.
Okay.
And that has been, well, I guess just to clarify some terms, we generally think of a flag as a single piece, like we see here with the red, the fully red. But there clearly were some alamas that were maybe 2 colors, maybe 3 colors that were in stripes. Sometimes the stripes would be square, sometimes they would be pointed, that would have red at the top. So yes, before this, until let me get this time again for you that I was asking about the date.
Sure.
Okay, so Lord, so as we've been saying, there's eyewitness accounts of visitors to Ethiopia seeing what are called alamos, strips of cloth representing the royal dignity in stripes of red, yellow, green, sometimes white, and other colors. But those are the dominant colors: red, gold or yellow, and green. Also, in certain situations, white to signify certain things. The presence of the what we call the royal dignity, meaning the emperor himself, or the in some cases a high-ranking Ras or Negus king.
Sure, give thanks to that.
Here is another flag that is described by an eyewitness. It says carried behind the imperial host. I can make this a little larger, my lord. Make this zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, I think what you went in there first, if you find, what did it say? Full screen. Yeah, you see
full screen mode.
Yeah, I think that may be it. Full screen mode, yes. And see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, this will allow us to go back and forth between things. Maybe a little.
Yeah, that's much better. That is it.
Okay. So we did look at this red flag of Emperor Dingal, 16th century, so that would make it the 1500s. This was reputedly retained by Emperor Tedros and was captured by the forces of Queen Victoria because an eyewitness account was given by one of the Englishmen who was there at the raid by the English, who described it just the way we see it. Okay? And again, the seriousness of this invasion by the British under this Magdala expedition, where not only the resulted in the suicide of Emperor Tedros, but the thieving of many royal items, including this red flag, and maybe others that we may never know about, because the English are very tight-fisted about returning items to Africa.
Really?
Mm-hmm. The guys know that just jumping ahead a little bit in time, that one of the obelisks, one of the stelae, was finally returned by Italy, that was taken by Mussolini, their occupation. That was returned to Oxen. So they're piecemealing a lot of these things. They're trying to reconstruct.
That's lately?
My lord?
That was returned lately, or that's something?
This was returned a few years ago. This was returned about, I'm going to an educated guess and say about 4 years ago. But you know, the stele was in one piece, and what the Italians did with that was they cut it so that they could take it to Italy and put it in front of the Pope's business there in Rome. They cut it into blocks and put it on ships, took it to Italy. Finally, through constant negotiations, including by His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie, the Italians finally returned it. But the Ethiopians had to put it back together and reinstall it. So that was a recent occurrence. So this was just a little background about the imperial colors, the royal colors, I should say, really, and how when, say, the Christ was portrayed, they would see him carrying in his left hand a cross with a flag, more exactly a flag which bears the cross, and the colors of it are either a combination of red and white, or of green, or red and yellow. But the colors are the same, only difference of the national flag, only difference being that red is always at the top. Okay? So this Czesnaski, who laid the foundation for this research, really was quite upfront in indicating what the arrangements of the colors were. So now we can talk about a national flag, the national flag beginning to emerge. This is our rendition of a flag that we're going to show you, the actual one of it. This, get my reference point here. So in the 19th century, it was this reliable eyewitness account that was given by a visitor to Ethiopia in 1879. And this is during the reign of Emperor Johannes IV, who, as we know, preceded Emperor Menelik. Okay? And he saw this imperial banner, described it in detail. And these are his words. He said, "The national banner was a gorgeous production of silk, a tricolor, the colored divisions running laterally. The highest portion was crimson, a deep red. The center was white, and the lowest section was amethyst blue." We're going to clear that up by actually showing you a still existing version of that. On the white ground was a gold lion, Lion of Judah. And it says here in my records that the flag was on exhibition in Gondar, Ethiopia, 1955, and researchers were able to make notes and record a picture of this. So I'm going to briefly stop sharing. Let me see if I can just quickly move this over. think I'll have to stop sharing for a moment so I can pull up the.
Well, family, of course, give thanks again to Tiger's Nest, and we have with us the Honorable Priest Merritt, Professor. As you can see, he definitely professing some good information for us here. Professor Honorable Priest Anthony Merritt, as he's just changing the structure of the reasoning. Yes, I think you would have unshared there. All right, very good. So yes, we're having a wonderful conversation. I think we would have been speaking more so, well, at least thus far going through the book. The Honorable Priest would have highlighted a few banners or flags, giving you the historical background of them. It looks true. Well, me going through the book, it appears as if Emperor Johannes would have laid hold to several banners. And of course, there's still the ancient red, gold, and green banner that I know you have the picture of, that is said to be one of Johannes's banners. So that's another banner for Johannes, the red, gold, and green itself with the red up. That's a King Johannes banner or flag. And you see other flags here attributed to even his time. I don't know if you touched this imperial flag for Johannes IV and King Menelik of Shoa. So again, what we're getting here, family, is a historical, not a dogmatic religious outlook now, just a historical overview of the history of the Ethiopian banner and the transformation it would have gone through. So again, just to ask my good brother, so which one, just for clarity, of the banners, the structural banners outside of the streams that you spoke of, I know you said they would have streams, which one of these banners would have been the oldest to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, in terms of a solid one, it appears that this
this would include the tree triangle red, gold, and green too. Put that in the whole mix and
okay.
Make your decision.
Okay. Well, first let me ask if you can see this flag, my lord.
Yes, definitely. I can see it. Yes.
Okay. Give thanks. It's not totally clear, but I think that in terms of a solid piece of flag, this one and the one I just showed you, the solid red one, which were used interchangeably, are the oldest ones. Yeah, I think the red one may be a little older, but this one, at least in terms of what we have that we can actually see, is about as old and maybe a little younger than that one we saw. This one is an actual cloth flag. This is not a rendition. And a sister called Sega Tekle Jaimena published this. This is the one I would like to send the eye a copy of. Beautiful flag. This is the one that is a more accurate. This is it, in fact. I showed the one in the flag book, but this is the flag book rendition doesn't clearly show the position of the gold. Okay, it has the red, the white, and the lower blue, but there is this gold layer right here. So you can see, and these are the priests in Ethiopia displaying this. So it says here that the flag of Emperor Johannes IV was proudly displayed by priests at Kire Georgas Church near Debre Tabat Gondar. Emperor Johannes gave his life in defense. He's the second emperor that is killed in battle in this period of the mid 1500s on forward, gave his life in defense of the territorial integrity of his kingdom, Ethiopia. He was killed by Mahdist Sudanese at a battle in 1889. Okay? So I'm making reference to the older one, the solid one, and the alamos that were stripes in red, gold, and green as being older than this. But this is moving us, I think, to seeing a national flag, because this one still is in existence, still maintained, and it maintains a real strong connection, I think, between the national flag as we see it, the red, gold, and green, and this one. It's showing you there's been this use of the colors in variegated ways, no one fixed manner. But clearly, what appears to be the case is it's either red, gold, and green, red, white, and green, red, white, and gold, okay, more than any other thing up to a certain point in time.
Well, if I may say, until you would have brought it up like that, I don't know if it's one of those cases where, you see what you want to see. But from the time I would have seen this picture, because yes, it's around on Facebook, and I would have expressed it on one or two videos. I always saw that was a clear-cut red, gold, and green. But then now with your scholarly expression, I must say, even just watching it, I say, okay. Because I was going to ask you just basically what you just expressed, that you're actually looking at it as if it could be a combination of combinations, then, like different. It could be red, gold, and green, or what you said, red, white, and gold.
Red, white, and like in this case, red, white, gold, and this bottom color, the eyewitness
blue.
Looks like he described it as a blue-green.
All right.
Okay. Again, so
like the red, gold, and green.
The white is connected to indicating the presence of the royal dignity. Red and white. So that's a historical progression through time that you see red and white. But like, for instance, I was asking her about the white six-pointed star as indicative of this is who is present. So white has its own significance in terms of the art of Ethiopia and what it symbolizes. This is a beautiful flag. Now, Priest Paul, who's been in Ethiopia and Shashamani for over 30 years, told me that there is another one I should really try to find in Gundar, that from his seeing of it was clearly a red, yellow, and green with a border. And
sorry.
So it seems like these change over time depending on who is in power.
Oh my God! But in your research, though, what would you say to that? I have seen, because okay, we're dealing with the red, gold, and green. As far as your research taking us back to maybe the 1600s, if I'm not mistaken. In your own research, my lord, in Ethiopia, would you have come across paintings, even some of these old books, Bible, that have been attributed to Ethiopia? I would have seen, just looking through the Bible, they have a lot of pictures in them. And, you have a lot of pictures where that's the color scheme of the red, gold, and green is utilized.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure you would have at least come across that firsthand, that you could say, I've seen a lot. In fact, I had this book once. It was a book of artwork of the Ethiopian church. Beautiful, beautiful book. And it's, you know, it really highlights a lot of the different, again, artwork found in a lot of the churches, and especially in some of the ancient books. And some of these are dated to be almost like 1,000 years old.
Oh, yes.
Right. And even beyond. But they all have they have it canvas, not with flags, you know. But the background, they always had the red at the top, as if somewhat highlighting the top of the artwork. And the middle just had this gold impression and the green of the earth. And I always noticed that. So I get the impression that that spiritual combination of the red, gold, and green was expressed a long time. So even when we're speaking of the flag, although that's not a flag or banner, but I see in a lot of artwork, the red, gold, and green, in that same rainbow status being expressed in ancient Ethiopia. But I already hear you said, oh yes, so it sounds like the answer is yes, that you would have seen and acknowledged it. But what do you think of that?
Oh, clearly, my lord, that dominates. In the library at the University of Addis Ababa, there are books about this thick. Okay, one of the books that I studied for hours, and this was just a library book. I'll tell you about what I saw in some of the mountains and some of the mountain monasteries. This was a book called The Miracles of Merritt. And as you know, the Ethiopian Bible has books way, way beyond the Bibles that are here in the West, many, many more books. So this is a book that's just dedicated to what they call the Miracles of Merritt. All of the work, all of the artwork, my lord, has red, gold, and green throughout it. And everything is surmounted by red. Okay? One of the things that came out of the research is that red symbolizes the sun. Okay? Not just the sun as we know the sun in the sky, but the sun, as they would say, Yesos. Okay? So it's there. It's there. It's irrefutably there in the churches in Lalibela. Beautiful churches in Lalibela that are carved out of stone. You just wander around and see things draped in red or draped in red, gold, and green. Now they do have the green, red, green, yellow, and gold, but so much of the older stuff, the older artwork on the walls.
And just to be clear, green, yellow, and gold, you said, right?
There is some green, yellow, and gold, more of the modern things. But the older things, the ancient artwork, will amaze your eyes to see so much layout of red, yellow, and green in the arrangement of things. Okay? So it's there. What I have here is just, I feel is just the tip of the iceberg. As I say, I would love to do this again. Now that I know what to look for. As I say again, Priest Paul told me about something, and I said, I was in Emperor Menelich's castle. And he said, you didn't see that? He said, well, I didn't know what to look for at that time. So now, you know, when you know, as you said, when you know what to look for, or when you know what to ask for, many doors will open. A lot of times, people who, the caretakers, whether they be the monks, the priests, or the Deptara, to them, it is important history, it's important culture, but they may not see it from a researcher standpoint. They just bring it out and let you see it. Okay. When I was in spending time in one of the churches in Lalibela, the priest brought out a huge cross. And that's a whole nother discussion in terms of art. But he brought it out, and they will put their, let me show you this, my lord, one moment.
Yeah, man, of course, give thanks, give thanks directly. Honorable Priest Anthony Professor Merritt, pardon me, with us, author of the book, The History of the Ethiopian Flag, the book, The History of the Ethiopian Flag, Before We Seal. My great Lord will tell you exactly how you could get a copy of this book, so you could definitely go through it for yourself. Yes, my Lord.
So this is a hand cross, and this cloth is symbolic of the alamas. Now you would see this cloth either around this giant cross I saw. The order would be red, yellow, and green. That's how the cloth came out. So that's why I always kept this one in terms of the order. So, just to answer the guy's question, it's just people, until they see it, and they may not even recognize what they see. Oh, they just see red, gold, and green. I'd say, look at the order of it. Okay? Look at the order of it and know what the meaning of these colors mean historically over time and why they're placed the way they are. Okay?
Yes.
It's there, Mike. It is there.
Because the rainbow circle, if there's a rainbow circle, I know when we go on there, we like flip the red on top still, but I guess if it's a rainbow circle, the red will be around the edge constantly, I think they have a painting with the Kedos Gilgis, St. George, like riding inside of a rainbow circle, but they have it with the red up. But the red up when it's above his head, but the red down when it's under the horse feet. But I just want to ask also too, and my Lord, I wouldn't even keep you here forever too, yeah? I think now this red up, when we go into battle, you know how it is coming into this faith, especially in the early years. We kind of gravitate to a lot of what we see and what we hear. And there is this artwork which was flashed in many documentaries, like the documentary The Lion of Judah, when the king is coming out of the plane. But it's an artwork that depicts the Battle of Adwa, where you see King Menelik and Taitu. And there, one of the banners is the red, green, and yellow. Anyone that is paying attention, they would see it. It's a valid Ethiopian artwork from them times. Red, green, not red, yellow, and green. Is red, green, and yellow, and that is either during the war or after the victory. But what's interesting, why I say after the victory, because if I'm correct, Menelik II, after the victory, the great victory of the Battle of Adwa, would have adjusted the imperial banner to the red, gold, and green. And some say he would have put an insignia in the center that would have represented his name. And then after he would have passed, the council switch it again to the green, gold, and red, which up to this day, it would have remained. What say they about that? Especially with the green, pardon me, the red, green, and yellow, if you know of that, my Lord.
I have a picture a little later on in this presentation that kind of sheds a little light on your observation and your point, because one of this is a flag that's, as I will show you, came from a book that I had to find where the author described it as a red, green, and gold flag flying over Ras Makonen's palace. We know
that's what you have at the back of the book?
Yes, no. My lord.
No? You have
Yes, if we want to go we can go to that.
I think you're still the host, so you could.
Okay. Tell me if you can see my screen, Alan. Can you see it?
I thought the one in the book was red, yellow, and red or something. Anyway, you.
Let's see. Let me see if I can pull this down.
I think, yes, you should still be the host, not unless you put it over to me. Yes, you are still the host.
I am still. So can you see the back of the book?
No, it's not showing as yet. Not on my part. Okay. Well, I can't see the back of the book. I have the book in my hand, family. So you could definitely get a copy. You know, and in a few moments, the Honorable Priest will give you more information on exactly how you could get a copy of the history of the Ethiopian flag. And by the Honorable Professor Priest Anthony Merritt, PhD. All right.
So this, here's a picture, my lord, of, if you see on the upper part, unfortunately, this is how the picture is laid out.
I think it's supposed to get rotated, you know. But anyway, no, let's not experiment. It's all right.
Sure, reminded. So, I got this book, and it was a black and white edition.
Yes.
Because it was written back in 1905. So I did this little research because we have here in the U.S. this television channel that will take black and white pictures, film pictures, and colorize them. So I said, all right, if you can do that to film, why can't you do it to a picture? And they've been doing it, as I found out, for years. So I took this picture, the one you see at the top, and I turned it over to I actually sent it into the Kodak Photo Company, and they have this process called color restoration, and it can assign color hues based on some science that they looks at the level of pigment, of gray pigments, and know what the colors are. So when they got this, it took them about 2 months to do the work. I don't know if it took them that long to do it, but I didn't get it back for about 2 months. So I told them that the uppermost color was red because that's the way the examiner or the eyewitness person described it. I asked them, show me what the other colors are. Okay? So we see red at the top, green at the bottom. It's not, the process is not perfect, but the bottom color is a gold. So if you can see that, let me move it up here a little bit. You can see red at the top, green in the middle, and a gold at the bottom. It's not clear the way we would see yellow or gold now, but this is 1905, so they're doing the best they can for the works. But that's what they reported to me. That the bands are red, green, and gold. So if I think that's in response to the point that you brought up. That you had seen that.
Is there something in the center of the flag too?
It appears to be.
But the eyewitness never.
No, since this was taken so long ago, back in 1905, this flag may no longer exist. The eyewitness account, to my research, did not describe what was in the middle. But clearly something is there.
Yes, but obviously. And just for those who may not, again, just be, and even those on the radio for sure, we're looking at a banner that is just above Ras McKennan's palace. And as my Lord said, the picture that he received was a black and white picture. And again, the eyewitness is saying that it was red, green, and gold. And in fact, he told the Kodak experts that, hey, one of these colors are red. In fact, you already knew what they were before they came out. So again, you know, you put me in a position where I'm looking, because colors are mystic things. Because even when I look at the red, gold, and green in black and white, and in all honesty, you know, when I look at the black and white, as they call it, version in your book, I can see the different shade with the top and the bottom. I can clearly see that. I could clearly see that, because even with the Ethiopian flag, when you watch it on a video, black and white as they call it, the green appears darker to a novice like myself, as they say, the untrained eye. The green appears darker than the red, where maybe somehow, because I could go in my mind now and remember in the early days, maybe we were a bit zealous, and so somehow we were looking at the flag to see which one was the red up and the red down. But in reality, again, and I see we gone in a different subject area here now. We're dealing with colors and whatever that science is called, but and maybe lights and reflection and refraction and all of that. But again, in black and white, as it's maybe loosely called, in black and white, let me get this straight here. What you may expect to look darker is looking lighter, and that's what I noticed. But now looking at the picture that you're showing here, again, at first glance, as I just said, I am seeing something that looks red, yellow, and even maybe orange. Now I'm looking at it. I mean, a person would have to look at it closely. You can even see it on the screen, those who will be watching it. But this is a picture that was, let's just say, enhanced to bring out the colors. But in the black and white version now, the strip on the top, I could see the darker, you could see it's dark, in the darkest. The strip in the middle and the strip on the bottom, they're both lighter, but the strip on the bottom is of a different shade. And I'm just using my untrained eye than the strip on the top. So now, and I'm only examining this deeply now that I'm speaking to you. Because I read it, you know, but I just looked at it like, yeah, that looked like red, yellow, and red. But no, it's definitely three colors. The third one does have an orange look, somewhat to me. But again, just to be clear, so the audience understands where we are, at least the consensus amongst yourself and the witnesses is that we're looking at red, green, and gold. All right. Just wanted to be clear. And is the expert himself that would have done this, is that the agreement he came to as well, that you're looking at red, green, and gold?
That's the report he gave back to me.
All right.
I explicitly said, I'm doing some investigation. You tell me what, from your expertise, what colors are being pulled out, given the process that you're way more experienced at than I am. You know, just be upfront with me. If you see purple, if you see pink, whatever you see, tell me what it is. I need to know. And he said, well, this is what is the process is showing you. Okay? The colors are not perfect. You're showing me something from 1905 out of a dusty old book that's been in a library. So this is the best we can do. But his thing is this, as far as we can tell, this is what we see. We see red at the top, green in the middle, and a yellowish gold color at the bottom.
And just quickly, I'm noticing that from your research and even after the imperial period as such, Ethiopia would have gone through a myriad of flags.
Yes.
In a very short period of time. I am wondering if that is it unique, or is it unique, number one, and if so, does it really, attest to Ethiopia's uniqueness? Because a lot of things could come out of that, within 200 years, you've gone through at least, 30 different banners, really, because even after the imperial moment, the banners changed. Even the blue star would have changed about 3 times, different shades of blue, and so many different things. The lion, they would have taken off the crown off of the lion, then take out the lion. So many things. Pardon me?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so it's several banners in a short period of time. So I don't know if any other nation would have been changing banners so fast. And what would that mean? Does it attest again to Ethiopia's agency? Because a lot of these nations are new nations, Even though America might have his one flag, he had a couple of flags before he had the one that it's even fighting over flags. Some people don't even use that flag. They use the Confederate flag. So, but that's just 2 flags. But then again, every state has its flag, doesn't it? So then you've gone into a next realm all by itself. Some people defend their state flag more and county flag more than the national flag. But anyway, to my question, is it a unique thing in Ethiopia from your knowledge with all of these different banners? And if it's so, what do you think it may mean?
Well, because you've had so many emperors from different origins, from different branches. The main 3 are Amhara, Tigray, and Showa. Okay,
Yes,
and
yes.
even though they will claim, oftentimes with accuracy, and sometimes they created a connection to the Solomonic line, they still have within their areas. Say if you have a Negus, Tigray Negus, or an Amhara Negus, and they become emperor, they may bring their regional emphasis to the flag, and that takes on a kind of a national flavor. So as you say, we're looking at this, we're looking at a very unique situation. How many countries have as many kings and emperors than Ethiopia? You look how old Ethiopia is compared to, say, a relatively young nation like England. Yes, they had a lot of kings and queens, and some from Scotland, and some from Wales, and some from England, and they would bring in their things. And there's some variance in there. Mm-hmm. Here, you've got ones who are struggling to say, I am here. Okay, this is how I, Tedros, show myself. How I identify myself. If I'm Tedros II, there was Tedros I. He may not be Amhara, he may be Tigray. So all of these things lend itself to the uniqueness that you described, that we see here, that makes it interesting. Yet what unifies us? One of the things that unifies this is variations on the red and the red, gold, and green. However they range it, because one of the things that came up was, they said in Paris in the early 1900s, this was when Menelik was in power, they had a red vertical stripe, and the green and the gold were horizontal. So it varies, oftentimes depending on a number of things that some of us, we can't fathom. Here's like for instance, here, this is too long, as they call pennons, crimson, deep red, and other whites. At Menelik's coronation, he had, and I show it here, we had this small ladder, as they would, that's how they described it. Red, green, and gold. Red, green, and gold. And this sat behind him as he's sitting on his throne.
Yes.
And so this was between, just to say, you say the imperial flag would go through several changes. Okay? Yet red would usually remain the uppermost color. Visitors would often say there was not consistency in the same order. But finally, and here's where we get, I think, to an important juncture in 1897, where Emperor Menelik had, up until 1897, had 3 pin-ons, stripes, as you see there. I think one of the illustrations that the eye showed, Priest Isaac, showed this.
Yes.
The red, the gold, and the green. And something was going on his western border. So this Frenchman, who was the emperor's representative, was given permission by the emperor to go on an expedition and clearly described the flag given to him as red on top, yellow in the middle, and green at the bottom. Hold on, my lord. I look like my energy came off.
Oh, yes, I know how it is. Something like that happened to me earlier. You know, it really, the depths of this conversation too, even as we are speaking of all the different types of banners, flags, and especially as we get into the great granddaddy Menelik II, you know, we can only meditate, you know, on the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards. And as simple as it is, you know, King Emmanuel Charles Edwards would have had many banners, several banners really. You know, the banners that we carry is 7 banners, including the United Nations banner. But the thing with the United Nations banner, well, we would have gone through programs, myself and Kes Westmore, and Welcome to the House of Priests. And the United Nations banner really stands, you know, for security. And we went through the whole diplomacy of that. But then we still have 7 banners, really, because when the United Nations banner gets thrown away, we have the Black United Nation. As the Father teaches us, we are really one nation, you know, the Black United Nation banner, which many of ones who are of the Abba Ashanti order, Bobo Shanti order, you would know of that banner there, the red, the Black United Nations banner. And this conversation is so you know, uprising, uplifting, and scholarly as well, coming from the book itself, the history of the Ethiopian flag. Because if you notice in our discussion, just the history is in here, but then now we're gone into concepts and again the uniqueness of a country changing banners, well, relatively so fast, and such an ancient country too. We also went into the whole aspect of the red, gold, and green, which I believe is an ancient staple. Again, from anciency, the rainbow, and we know red, gold, and green is life. However, it worked its way back into the custom and red up top and red below. We know for sure that the ancient paintings, as the good brother said, the miracles of Mary, all the artwork within it is depicting red, gold, and green. And other artworks that you would find in Ethiopia, the red, gold, and green, not necessarily banners. And we only speaking scholastically. We can just jump off of the edge and say, hey, listen, man, Ethiopia banner is the red, gold, and green from creation, and still not be wrong. Because again, we're scientists as well, and we understand and comprehend that that is life. But again, the red, gold, and green is one thing. These may be the primary colors, but you still have the spectrum. And again, this is why King Emmanuel Charles Edwards would have given us the spectrum of light. You see that in the royal 7-colored banner that we have. Again, we would have gone through the banner. We did a wonderful program on the flags, the banners of right. Welcome to the House of Priests. You know, the different colors and arrangement. We have again the 7-color banner, you know, which is symbolic also of the rainbow, and the red, black, and green, and the red, gold, and green, red, gold, and green, black over white, the black flag, House of Israel flag, you know, so all of these banners also stand up for right in righteousness, and the honorable priest seems to have returned in again. Yes, my Lord, give thanks. So I was just highlighting, you know, to the family, even within King Emmanuel order, several banners that we fly. You know, it's not just a banner, it's several banners. You know, maybe, let's just say, 200 years down the line, you may have a set of people maybe arguing which one of them banners was Emmanuel banner. The man said, no, man, Emmanuel used to carry the red, black, and green. Said, no, man, it's the green and the white and the green Emmanuel carry. I'm saying that to say we may be looking at all of these banners here too. Because the way that the history have some of them so tightly knit is as if these banners were used not in conflict with one another, but in many cases at the same time. You know, that's the impression I'm getting even going through your work, because it comes to me like King Johannes, the red, white, and blue. You see the red, the orange, the red and the orange are what looks like burgundy, and the orange are burgundy, and the gold and the burgundy. I thought that was the one that I was looking at flying above Ras McKennan's palace. So the one you have on page 11, the burgundy reddish with the yellow goldish and repeat of the same color. That just at a glance looks like the one that was over Ras McKennan, but I think you have here, that's item 3, by the way, that Johannes and King Menelik, King of Shore, they would have utilized that banner too. If I'm not mistaken, you can just clarify if I'm correct or if not. But I'm still seeing that you could see Menelik would have used what they call the red dung banner. Hope no one offended by that, and still use the red up banner. So you could see that these ones were using several insignia as such, not no argument, no complaining. Maybe we from a distance saying, boy, this one is the right one. He dropped this and lift up that one. Because I'm just saying that our father, King Emmanuel, is 7 banners we have.
7, yes. Yes.
That's all I would say.
And they all have extreme significance all at all times.
Yes.
You know, we can't even say one is better than the other. It's not about one being better. It's about what does this signify? Okay? We have the United Nations flag. So when people say, why Rasta fly United Nations flag? King Emmanuel made it very clear, you know, where and why we as a nation, you know, a nation within a nation, have that right. And various others, other groups across the world have that right, an important right to be involved in the United Nations, even though we know that the United Nations is in many ways a nefarious organization.
Okay.
And was preceded by an even more nefarious organization, the League of Nations, when Emperor Haile Selassie went to try and get restitution during the Italian invasion. Yet and still, we insist to have a voice, a seat at the table. Okay? So, yeah, we can't get dogmatic about these things because they have a certain purpose depending on the situation. Yeah. True that, my God.
And sorry, I hope I didn't cut you. And even before we seal, I want to get something you started with. You give me the impression that as Rastafari now, there is a unity that we can hold on to within the diversity of these banners. Now, again, I don't really get the strong agitation that was there from all sides, when I would have come into this faith, from all sides. I see it, I don't see it like that as before. So I don't know if it's that big of an issue. Now, it would be an issue, because if we, especially in the churchical realms of it, it will become an issue. But you know, in the communicational, communal realms, it's not an issue like before. I think, yeah, I know that for sure.
Yes.
But express to me even before we seal up, what's that unity you're speaking of in relation to your study? Or maybe you would have expressed it already, you know, in the diversity of the different banners and their meanings, if we just understand them. But let me not preempt it. Bless it.
Well, I think when we see these things, they shouldn't be seen the way divisions have been made in other situations. Like you mentioned before, in the South, they have the Confederate flag. What are the colors that are in the Confederate flag? In some shape, form, or order, red, white, and blue. But it's the arrangement of it, not so much, it's the arrangement of it, yes, but it's the mindset behind it, okay? So why should I and I, as a Rastafari nation, take on a mindset that creates false divisions? You know, unity does not necessarily mean uniformity, okay? We can be unified to accomplish certain things, but uniformity? No. What makes the Congress unique is its banners and what they symbolize and how they can educate people to what they symbolize, to kind of broaden their consciousness rather than to kind of shrink it down into some isms and schisms and little corners. Okay? A thing is a thing. How do I put this? A thing can be a bad thing or a good thing depending on how you use it. Okay, and I view the banners as tools of consciousness. Okay? And when I see the various flags, when I go up to Bobo Hill and I see the various flags, I just sit there and meditate upon them in terms of what they mean. Okay? When we have the flag of Ghana or the flag of Nigeria, does that mean that Ghana and Nigeria are enemies? No. They are both Africans who are both dealing with their history of some of their peoples, a number of their peoples having been enslaved and them going through colonialism and so on and so forth. But let those things just be your identity, not your division. Okay? This is your identity. This identifies you as a people with a certain symbolism, a certain things that you want to say to people, but not to create a dogmatic division that really serves none of us a purpose. One last comment, and I want to just quickly show the flags that Emperor Menelik created, and then we can seal it up. But
yeah, of course. I think I have an next question I want to ask you, but it won't be to keep you too long. But yes, please show me.
Okay. Last time I went to Sheshamani, I went and visited a family, and this was we had been really getting along good, you know, and there were 12 tribes, brethren and sisterin, and I had made donations to the school, and because I was an educator, I was, you know, putting through a number of youth, paying their tuition, okay? And then that last time I had come, and by then I was wearing a turban, and they kind of stepped back and said, "Oh, wow, you wear the red upside down." And I said, "Am I no longer the man that you meant?" "Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?" I says, "I am the same man, okay? I am the same man. I came here as I have always been coming, to give support to the school. Now, yes, I know that there's some things going on in Shashamani between the different, well, I'm not that. I'm the same man. So let us not get dogmatic about where my red is, where your red is, okay? Yeah. Let us work together as best we can. And there still was a little bit of little stuff about that, but I just kept pushing. I said, you're not gonna keep me away from dealing with the school. And they did a turnaround. They said, well, you're not. Even the husband said, well, you're not like the rest of the Bobo. I said, no, come on, my lord, let's not go there. I know some things are going on here. I know that. I see it. Okay. But the eyes have to work this out, because no one is going to work this out but you. Okay. The Ethiopians are not going to work this out for you. All they see is that you are people from the West coming here. Okay? When the government, the local government comes to try and work with the people, they ask, who is your spokesperson? And everyone looks around because there is no one spokesperson. There was one, that was Bongo Rocky before he made his tribe. Okay, he was an elder, very good man. Okay, but then after that, people fell off into these rather dogmatic corners. So we got work to do, my lord, as we know. And this piece of cloth should not be a hindrance to that. Until if we can understand what they mean, it can help pull us together rather than separate us. Okay.
What they were saying in the book, even in your reasoning this evening, that looking at a few things historically, like when Victoria and Napier and these ones would have come in, and they have not just that situation alone, there's some diplomatic connections even for a while, because Victoria is a long ruling woman, so maybe second only to Queen Elizabeth. So again, because really that thing about Queen Victoria and turning flag upside down is Bobo Shanti you hear that from. In fact, I was just saying the other night on a program that the 20 million pounds sterling, I mean, that's known, but yes, still, King Emmanuel would be the one that would have harped that to me more than even the history books. And it's only now today that you hear, especially in the reparation corners, that exact figure being quoted. Even when I used to read about William Wilberforce and these ones in history, I never see that figure. I didn't even know. The history book never say that Queen Victoria left money for any slaves. But now it's coming out. But King Emmanuel used to have that. So in the same way, I'm using that to come back to the same way with Victoria coming and turning the flag upside down. Now, it sounds harsh, especially as a Rasta man, and, you have all faith and power in the imperial, this, what I mean, and, you can't, what are you talking about? Rome and Britain and how the harlot gonna come in and do the X, Y, Z. But as you said in your book, looking at the diplomacy and the context of history and chronicling history, it may demand some more investigation and discussion. But obviously, during that time, something was taking place. There was a disruption in Ethiopia at the hand of the same person. That's for sure. And even one king lost power, and the next king say, yeah, my turn now. It's just reality. So you can see at least King Emmanuel's word is not like this, it's just wind flying away. It's something that you should even look into. But from that perspective, my lord, so there's obviously, okay, outside of just the different banners, there's obviously room for the assumption, let me use them terms, there's room for the assumption that the Ethiopians were dealing with some very high scientific understanding too. Because all about banners, it's science. That's why ones argue over banners because they believe it's science. Some people even superstitious. That's why you can't come in here with that flag there. There's some superstition going on there to some degree. But so I'm saying that to say the Ethiopians are Africans. Africans are scientists. Now, because they're Christians, Ethiopian Christianity is as scientific as the Dogons' 60-year dance for serious. There's every African traditional expression and dance mirrors the heavens. I would have just done a program on that. You may have glanced at it. Every African, even the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, their dance and movement is not like nobody else in Christianity. They stand alone. Their dance and movement is African. So they are mirroring the heavens. They are mirroring the movements of the stars. They're mirroring astronomy, and all African dances do that. That's for a fact. So I know they are connected in the esoteric levels, what the Masons, let me say, what the Masons drew off of, because flags and banners are symbols and expressions of all sorts of different things. So I'm saying all of that to say, and our father, King Emmanuel, would have showed us a perfect example of that. Now, for example, him, King Emmanuel, ones would say that he is very serious about the red dog flag. Very, very serious. Now, I don't know, I don't think they may have encountered, but from your knowledge of his seriousness of it, and because of the intelligent level of this conversation, why do you think so? And I'm going to show you why I asked why. Because one of the things is that King Emmanuel always speaks about federation. And not just him alone. A lot of the elder races would have done that. Now, although the green, gold, and red flag, the Ethiopian flag at that time and still at this time, but the federation that ones were going after as Rastafari was considered by the elders as not the churchical order of Rastafari. In fact, it may seem like some level of geopolitics, because King Emmanuel is a diplomat. In everything he does, he's a diplomat too. So even that decision to even tell ones, no, do not associate with that. You may be surprised it might even be a diplomatic move than even a spiritual move, or maybe a combination of both. And I'm telling you, even your works would have brought up that level of thinking and outlook even at this moment. So we can make this the last comment before I ask you to show us how to get the book. So what do you think of that? His King Emmanuel's staunch, stance against the red dog, as they call it. And just keep in mind, just quickly, okay, we have to do justice to our father. The same Congo Rocky, right?
Yes.
Yes, the very same Congo Rocky. And because I hope this don't take up your time too much. And because I would have really, I consider myself a journalist in this. So I would have heard one story from 3 different people and can relate, okay, yeah, I remember that. So there was a time when the Biggie House, let me try to speed it up. There was a time when the Biggie House visited the camp and a shower of rain came down and they had to leave. So I've heard that Congo Rocky himself gave me that story, and other elders as Bobo who maybe did not interact with Kongaraki, didn't even know Kongaraki was out there, would have given me the same story, but from their angle, where they were. So anyway, Kongaraki showed me that they went up and they came to Rakabingi with their father. Because that's how he referred to King Emmanuel, our father. And he's saying that the man them at the gate was like giving them man trouble and said, no, my lord, you have to turn and the red up and the red down and something or the other. So he said while the man was starting to debate it, a heavy shower came. So much that they had to run back in the van and the truck and they couldn't stay there. It's like mudslide and everything and they had to drive away.
Oh, whoa.
So, yeah, so anyway.
I never heard that.
Yeah, man. Because they came back and they did. He said that they set themselves right with their banners and everything, no complaint. And they came and they rock a bingy. And King Emmanuel said, well, he Kongaraki didn't tell me this. Another man tell me this. Priest Shimran tell me this. That King Emmanuel, and he was a youth at the time, King Emmanuel said that that's the sweetest bingy that he ever hear. The sweetest bingy that he hear in a long while. That's the bingy, them bingy, They came in and rock a bingy and everything. I don't know what they do if they paint over the thing, but Kongaraki say they set themselves right and they come back and they rock a bingy. And the father say, that's the sweetest bingy he hear in a while. Now, there was a time, I get this from Priest Robbie and different ones, there was a time when all the races now, not just the bingy, all the races were trying to come together. Somehow it didn't work out, but the main point I'm saying here, this is my main point, that the decision was made. Some of the elders came and, spoke to King Emmanuel, and the decision was made that they were going to come to Bogo Hill to have this big international reasoning with all the houses. Somehow I don't think that came out, for whatever reason. But the words the elders gave me is that King Emmanuel sent the word down to the guardhouse. When the bingy them come, do not trouble them with their attire. You hear me? This is what the elders them tell I, So I find that interesting. Because remember the man very staunch about this. You can't once check and say, my lord, the red down, you can't come in. Even if you have a little badge with the red down, you have to take that off, put that away. So, but at this time when he was looking for a unity, just check that. Yes. Send the word that when the bingy them come, do not interfere with them for their colors. And I find that very interesting, So yeah. Yes. Did I say anything on that?
Wow. Well, that's pure spiritual respect.
True.
That Dada was given. It was given a bless.
True.
Because he said, underneath all of this, we are all naked. We are all just the way we come into the world, okay? So how are we going to be in the world? Are we going to be in the world with raiment on us that creates things that divides us? No, be as we were coming from our mother's womb, okay? Because when we leave, however we leave. So, we think back in 1958, when King Emmanuel, then Prince Emmanuel, and Rasbo and Nergus came together at Bakawa, okay? They brought those two men. I'm sure there was other ones that backed them up, but they came with that same energy to pull everyone together, and they did, okay? I know there was some things going on, but that was monumental.
Mm-hmm.
That thing, the way I understood it, I was not there, even though I was maybe 15 years old, 10 years old at that time. But when I read about that, and then look at where things are at now, and to think that there is this thought that says, you come in this way, you come in that way, you can't come in. I go, wow. That King Emmanuel set an example that all the elders should learn from, and the youth them. his vision. When I hear of things that he said that I hear more than once, or I hear from an elder that I know they experienced firsthand. See, this man was, he was a normal. He wasn't what's the word I'm trying to think of? He wasn't supernatural. He was super normal. Okay? He was super normal. And so he saw things and heard things and could see beyond certain limitations. And that was a beautiful thing for him to have said that.
Yeah, the elders them tell me that, I can call the name.
Yeah. So he did that in 1958. He had that same mindset at the time that you are describing. You know, we have to come together. We have to be together. Okay, we're still gonna do things our way. Okay, and that's a beauty there. You know, I go amongst other ones here in my town, and they say, okay, here come Priest Merritt. Let him come in. I don't have to take off my turban. I don't have to take off my robe. When we gather here, we either gather outside or we gather at someone's home. They say, okay, we're gonna have everyone come from Bengay 12 tribes, Bowo. Okay, I tell them, because I'm the only priest here in Southern California. I said, I am not no one's dictator. I will just tell you this: if I can't come the way I am, I can't come. Okay? And they say, oh, no, Priest Merritt, come on. We want your elder, blah, 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 okay? That's how, God is love. God is love. Let us all love.
Yeah, man. Yeah. My Lord, give thanks, the time is on us with this one here. And as I said before we go, and let me just say blessed to the Honorable Prophet Moembe. Thanks also for the works. So exactly, if an individual wants a copy of this book delivered to them, because I know you could deliver it easily, what do they have to do?
Well, I'm putting in the chat how they can contact me. I'm going to put in another email. I don't have a website up yet.
You send me the information via the email, and they will see throughout this video here. Those who will see it on the video, and of course, our radio and they will get it otherwise.
Okay, so if I put it in the chat, will they see that? Okay, now I put this as wow, where did it go? All right, so this email is my personal, it's not my campus email.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, positive. That's perfect there. And yes, that is perfect. Read that out for me. That's AT. How we do this?
ANTAM at att.net.
Okay.
And
ANTAM at att.net. Yes, I see it properly now. Yeah, all right. So family definitely. So again, and of course that will be put up properly. Everyone will see that. Again, so we're talking about the history of the flag of Ethiopia. Again, and you could, so this is an email to email yourself, and you could order the book itself and it would be delivered to you. And I'm sure the good brother would give you more information or anything else you need to know as it relates to this book and the knowledge therein. Again, a very wonderful work, an easy read as well. ANTAM at att.net, and you could definitely order the book. Yes, my Lord, and that, again, Honorable Priest Merritt would have spent a good part of maybe, how long have we been together here? Maybe an hour and a half going up on 2, and we would have been reasoning about the history of the Ethiopian flag and the book that goes with it. Again, please, show some love and contact the brother. Very inexpensive book as well. Very easy to get. and even your young ones could read this. I mean, just to know, a lot of ones, even in Ethiopia, have no scratch of an idea about the history of any Ethiopian flag. A lot of us as Rastafari, again, very important, even though those of us battling over red up and red down, you may be right with your red up and red down, you know, but sometimes sometimes we're ignorantly right, you know, sometimes we're ignorantly right, meaning that we just happen, it's like we're playing musical chairs, we just happen to be following the right today. So you believe in this this group, and the group is right today, you're just following what the group says, so you happen to be right. The group wrong tomorrow, you just following what the group says, so you just happen to be wrong. So a lot of us may be right. You may be right that the red's supposed to be up. Whatever the case is, you may be right that the red, black, and green, oh, that's very important to Marcus Garvey, red, black, and green, and he put the red up too. Yes, but it's not good to be ignorantly right. You should know the history. So when you know the history of the Ethiopian flag, how it evolved and how it came into being, at least historically, you make more sound decisions, and you say, okay, I understand this now. You even become more understanding of another one's point of view. You'll be able to even sit down at the table and maybe counsel an individual and put things. That's why, you know, it's not good to be, as the old people say, ignorant. You know, it's good to, as much as you can, fill your cranium with knowledge and information. Yes, my Lord, good works. Wonderful discussion and wonderful presentation. Any sealing words? Well, words in the future.
We give thanks, you know, to the ARCHAEOASTRONOMY.
But if you attended 1958, I mean, yeah, you've been around for a little time, man. Wow.
Yes. I give thanks, you know. I've been blessed with 75 seasons.
I did the math a while ago. I said, well.
So I give thanks for that. And I give thanks, you know, for the ARCHAEOASTRONOMY forum here, because, you know, you have a forum here, my Lord, where people can expand their consciousness, expand their knowledge. And this is what I as Rastafari need. You know, Rastafari is constantly evolving. That's why it's so vibrant. And this is what you have here contributes to that evolution. I'm looking at the things that you are creating now, and I say, wow, this young lion, excuse my, you know, yeah, I know you're a man, but just because you're a young lion, is putting together some things that, say, 20, 30 years ago, people wouldn't think about. These are things that are needed by I right now. These are things that, for the youth, too, they're being miseducated, and they need to be educated to the world, this wonderful world in which we are in. Even though we are in the belly of the beast, as we say here in the U.S., it still is a world that has wonders in it, wonders above it, wonders around it. So I give thanks, my Lord, you know, for that time, and blessed love to all ones who listen to this reasonment. Please, again, feel free to contact me. The book is not expensive. I just mainly especially if it comes through this venue, I just ask you to pay the shipping charges, and maybe a couple of dollars for that. Okay, so it won't be expensive. So give thanks, my Lord.
Yes, my Lord, and we will just leave out together, as we always say, you know. If you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. See, history is this for sure. Yeah. And of course, it takes some realize that are amongst us. Yes, my Lord. Blessed Lord.